Hi there, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Rambling Weekly. This week we're going to be talking about that Kickstarter Cash and all that lovely stuff that comes with that. So, yeah, let's get to it. Welcome back. For all the music this week, it'll be from In the Blue, a doujinshi artist that I really like. The music that I'm playing is actually a lot of older stuff, and I had to do some digging for it because I'd lost a lot of my music when my other laptop died out on me. And so I was a bit reluctant to go to try to dig through it because I knew for certain some of the sites that I got some of the music had just completely gone off the map, which really disappoints me because there's one in particular, Absolute Cycloid, that I liked a lot of their music. I still have my favorite song from there, but it's a bit sad when good music just kind of goes by the wayside. Thankfully, that's what YouTube's for. But In the Blue had all this wonderful music, and I was revisiting a lot of old YouTube videos because I'm putting something together. It'll come out before this comes out, but I put out like a 6-year thank you for the YouTubes there, because back on I guess it was Pi Day. It was like the 6th year anniversary for me being on YouTube, which it's kind of crazy. It was really nice to see those old videos. And while I'm not a very sentimental kind of person, and also the videos aren't like mind blowing. I mean, obviously not. Otherwise, I think more people would have stuck around, but they didn't, which, I mean, that's all good. But it was nice to kind of see that stuff again. I've been home for nearly 2 years and didn't once even think about it. So generally, I don't do that sort of thing. I don't usually take a lot of pictures of things that I'm doing, or especially as a kid. We grew up really poor and didn't have I think we had a camera, but at some point we just didn't have a camera, so there's not a lot of there's some pictures of me as a kid, but like middling years, like later elementary, middle school, even high school, really just didn't. I'm just not a picture kind of person. I'd rather just enjoy the experience and go from there. But there's tons of things you forget when you do that, unfortunately. So maybe I picked the wrong things to do in life, but yeah. that happens. The song there was Snow and Silence, and just it's, to me, it's got this imagery of a snowy field with in a way not blistery, but enough wind to make snow blow around, but it's not like a harsh wind. It's just like a soft wind to get the flakes a moving. So, and we're going to be going through a few different songs by that person, because I just the thing was with some of those older videos, I had openings and endings that that used some of that music, and because I kind of resigned myself to, well, I'll never be able to get a lot of that music, I looked into it, and thankfully I was smart enough to put what the song was and who done it so I could actually get back to it. And using my powers of interwebs to sign on to Muzie, M-U-Z-I-E. It's a website where there's a bunch of music and stuff. Using my power to sign on there, I was able to download a lot of this music. So, yeah, it's pretty good. Pretty good, yeah. But, so that is that. I haven't really been reading this week. Barely got any writing done. This has been just last week was just like whoosh. I mean, I had it's just one of those things. Kirby knows. That's right, Kirby knows. But I just went through. I don't know. The week just blitzed by, and here I am now recording another episode. So, oh. Here's something ridiculous about me. I don't really drink a lot of energy drinks or anything like that. And I know this is like 10 years, well, probably even longer than that. 10 years a bit too late, but I really enjoy coffee. Coffee is delicious. And I don't drink it because I need something to pick me up. I drink it because I like it. And I don't have a preference for it. I'll drink it straight, or I'll drink it with creamer. A lot of times I drink it with creamer because I don't eat a lot of dairy, so I'm thinking, well, this will be my dairy intake for the day. And it's like, well, it's not really dairy. So, but I like to tell myself that. But I have recently, just because just a lot of things going on, I started drinking the Mean Bean Monster. And I know that this is like such crappy product placement, but I really like the stuff. I thought it was going to taste really nasty. I thought there's like a huge amount of sugar in it, and it's like a 16-ounce can's got less sugar than those damn Frappuccino things. So yeah, go Mean Bean Monster. Oh, but yeah, like I mean, they pick me up because I don't generally drink those sorts of things. So when I've had one, I'm like, oof, okay, I am now alert. Things seem crystal clear. But yeah, so that's that. As I said in the intro, we're going to be talking about that Kickstarter Cash. So let's have a little bit of a bumper, and then we'll get into it. Alright, welcome back. That was Watashi no Taiyo, or My Son. Not like my child's son, but like the sun in the sky sort of thing. That was a new one. Like, I had not heard that one, but it was on their profile on that Musea website, and I really liked it. I'm not the biggest vocal fan, and the reason why is it doesn't matter if it's English or Japanese or Spanish. I have a really hard time discerning what the lyrics are. I'm a very visual learner. So when I see, and I think it's because being deaf in my right ear as a child until I had a bunch of surgeries on it and whatnot. But I need to see it. I need to be able to read it so I can understand what the lyrics are. Otherwise, I'll just mishear everything and then just, like I said, English, Japanese, it doesn't matter. But that song kind of gives me a bit of a Wild Arms vibe, like the old school, like Wild Arms 1 and 2 kind of vibe, and I dig it. And I hope you dug it too. So, yeah. So this is all about that wonderful thing we call Kickstarter. Yeah! This actually goes to any sort of crowdfunding sort of thing. And I want to say I've talked about it before in a video on YouTube. I could be wrong, but I know I've talked with friends about this. And crowdfunding is a great thing. It can be a great thing. Like, when you have people who will do something that, or they have an idea and they just need the funding for it, and you give it to them and they're able to get it to work out. Now, the problem is that there's a lot of people who are not very entrepreneurial. So when they get to that wonderful Kickstarter cash, they bugger it all to hell. I mean, you got reports of the people who pretty much took the money and spent it on hookers and blow. That's always a good one. You've got the wonderful example of Keiji Inafune with Mighty Number 9 months later, and just a lot of that in general. I look at like Shenmue 3. Not so much the what is his name? Igarashi? The guy who did Castlevania and now is doing Bloodstain. That one so far is okay. We haven't crossed a threshold to worry about yet. But at least with those other two, there's some very different questions I had. Keiji Inafune has been delayed. What, 2 months? Or 2 months? 2 years? 2 years? Was it? About 2 years? Maybe inching towards 2 years. And he got like 5+ million, and he was banking off of the whole shit can thing with Capcom and Mega Man, and just really, really plucking at those nostalgia strings pretty hard. And good old squeaky chair. And that's like, I was really excited for it too. The cancellation of Mega Man Legends 3 still burns my ass. I will not give Capcom my monies. That's just how it is. I refuse to. Not until I get Mega Man Legends 3. And by the time I get Mega Man Legends 3, it'll probably be very, very different, if there ever will be. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they'll. I doubt it, but maybe they'll bridge that connection and fix it up. But I don't know. I really, really, really doubt it. And I mean, I've talked about this before. The game was canceled on my birthday. Like, I was there in Japan. I bought a 3DS specifically for the demo so I could eventually get the game. And they canceled it. And then they canceled it on my birthday. Well, they didn't. They just canceled it straight up on my birthday. And I don't want to say I was livid. I was just very disappointed. So And then when Inafune did this whole thing with Mighty Number 9, you're like, oh, okay, sweet, great. Like, I didn't put any money towards it because I didn't have any money to set aside to put towards it. So I was just vocalizing, hey, listen, that sort of thing. And I feel bad about doing that because I thought I could have trusted somebody like Inafune to put out a product at a proper time. Delays I can understand. But when you have a ton of delays for a type of game that you are quote-unquote the king of, I got issues with it. Like that, or the Red Ash thing, putting out another Kickstarter. I did not. I mean, okay, it looks kind of nifty and stuff, but I sure the hell did not put towards it because I was just like, get this other one done first. But like that whole thing was it's just a mess, and he really screwed the pooch on that one. With Shenmue 3, you kind of get some of the same sorts of, well, not some of the same sorts of things, but in a way, with like just the money and coming in and people feeling a bit miffed that Sony came in to put more money towards it, and some of the people who put in money but it wasn't through Kickstarter weren't getting a few of the rewards. It's I mean, I can understand that, but because you have a set limit and then you've passed that, I get that. I can understand it, but it's just not a good PR thing. At least put that up there straight out. I mean, they are honoring some of the other ones, so that's good, but some of the bigger ones I heard that they were not honoring. And it gets me to just this whole thing in general, because like I said, Kickstarter is a wonderful way to push for things that would not be able to happen in the sense of like entertainment and stuff. That would not be able to happen how it had just been left to the overlords of gaming companies or movie industry people, music, and all that sort of thing. A lot of board games are on there. I'm not a big board game person because I don't like fun, I guess, but I got a ton of board games from that. There's been some very successful indie games that have come from that. Wastelands, seemingly, or Wastelands 2, I think that would be what it is. But you get a lot of charlatans. I mean, I'm not gonna, mainly because I don't think of them, but look at some of the earlier, like, for example, like RPG styled Kickstarters that were out there. Not in the, I don't want to say in the last like couple years, but shift further back. There are a lot of Kickstarters that were just like, here is a concept piece, a beautiful piece of artwork, but a concept piece, and they're just talking about their game and stuff, and people would give them like 90,000 altogether, and those people have still not made a game, and it has still not come out, and people are incredibly mad because this is what always gets to me about this sort of thing, is that yeah, you shouldn't put money in and expect the thing to get done. I mean, that is part of just the nature of that sort of thing. But B-U-T-T, it's really, really, really irritating when, and just, you don't, and this is part of also the problem with Inafune, is you don't fucking have something, and then you get the money for it, and then you start making updates, and then you start crapping yourself because you're going, oh my god, I can't do this. You adapt your ideas. That's part of making a game, is because there's plenty of ideas that I have. I'm working on a game right now. I got the whole story written out, got all that other great stuff for it, and I have to make concessions. Like, there's stuff that I'd be like, oh, that'd be really cool, It's written in there, but in the same hand, it might have to be done differently or completely axed because it doesn't work for the game, the flow, and all that sort of stuff, and you just gotta adapt. and it's bothersome when they get people who are just who just deadpan, stop updating, and don't really give anything, and then all of a sudden they come out with some little thing to just appease somebody and then just vanish. There's been enough of those vanishing sorts of things, and those vanishing acts really pissed me off. Like, I understand being busy, trying to work on the game and stuff, but with the game I'm working on right now, we update right now bi-weekly until we get stuff like when we get closer to the alpha and beyond. It will probably at some point it'll get to weekly or even more than once a week, but you keep people abreast of what's going on. They have a right to know. You don't just vanish off the fucking map and then pop up 8 months later or something, or 4 months later, and be like, oh yeah, we've been working on it. We had to do some changes and stuff. It's not hard to just be like, hey guys, working on the game, gotta do updates and stuff. Sit tight. Just let people know you're there. That's part of the problem. People have poisoned the damn well with this crowdfunding stuff, particularly with Kickstarter. All that Kickstarter cash, and it's just that irritates me. That irritates me so much, because if I want to do a game and need money for it, which I do, and would like to put out a Kickstarter, more and more people aren't going to do it because they're going to be like, well, I have A, B, C, and an infinite fucking number of reasons not to give you money because dickbags like them, not like them who put in money, but the dickbags that are like those who just take the money and run have just poisoned the well. They've soured the experience. And I don't fault people for that, because they are being reasonable with their money. They are going, yeah, no, I'll wait. But like I said, this is not a rant towards them, because that's their money. They can do what they want with it. It is a rant towards people who poison the well. Like, and the problem is the people who do well, who do get it done. Undertale and Shovel Knight, I think, are two examples. I could be wrong about Shovel Knight, but I do know Undertale did. And while I'm not a big fan of Undertale, the game, I love a lot of the music and stuff. Yeah, whatever. They were both on Kickstarter, and I at least hope Shovel Knight was. At least Undertale was, so I can use that. Nobody really talks about that. They're just like, oh, this was a very successful indie game. I don't ever hear anybody go, oh, it was on Kickstarter and they did well and all that kind of stuff. Nothing about that. Nothing about that at all. And so it doesn't build back the reputation of Kickstarter whatsoever. Yeah, so great. We just keep deteriorating at the pillars of Kickstarter. Because, and yeah, I mean, look at just the game, look at the movie industry, the game industry, the entertainment industry, all of it. Just look at all of it. There are a lot of turds. There are a lot of turds floating in a toilet that is all piss water. And sometimes, not always, but sometimes, you get something that is not a part of that is actually really, really good. Yeah, and if people like all that stuff and are like, wow, good job, whatever. I have really no interest to watch majority of things. I have no desire to. I have no desire to see a bunch of movies. I don't give a rat's ass for comic book movies. I don't like comic books. It's not that I don't like. I just don't care for comic books. That's a bit of a difference. Don't care because I just no interest in them. I'm not. I'd rather read it with a bunch of words than have pictures and read it that way, for the most part. I mean, even like manga stuff, I still got a Fire Emblem manga that I have It's 11 books, and I've only read 2 of them. Like, and I've had this thing for years. And it's Fire Emblem, and it's using a lot of the characters from like Roy and from that duology and stuff, and I still don't care. Like yeah, it just doesn't hit me the same way, and it's not a condemnation of that form of entertainment, because there are plenty of examples of really awesome comic book stuff, and that blows away a lot of books. I don't care for them, but I've talked with people who enjoy it, and that they point to those that are like, these are really, really awesome and all this kind of stuff, and that's fine. It's just not for me. I mean, that's just what it boils down to. So but yeah, Kickstarter. Back to the Kickstarter thing there. All that Kickstarter Cash. I wish there was some way to, and not necessarily if somebody failed, because if somebody fails to do something, unless it's because they blew it on hookers and blow, they're like, if it was for something like that, if they were wasteful if they mismanaged it in a wasteful manner and it can be proven, those people should have to pay back all that stuff. I know that sounds ridiculous, but that's something. They have to do something, because that is ridiculous. I don't give them 200 hours of community service. They have to do something, because that really pisses me off, because and I've talked to this with my other creation mates, the people who I'm working with for the game and stuff, for Sager's Calling. Check it out. Yeah, do it. Shameless plug. But we've talked about it, and we're like, any money that we get, if we do a Kickstarter or something, any money that we get from that is going to the game. It's not going to us, because it's for the fucking game. That irritates me as well, is when you have people who put up something about, Kickstarter, and then they mention all these things about it. Well, 20% will go to this, 20, and then they have this thing about, and this will go to us so we can keep our house or apartment and get food and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, that's what you have a job for. You can't just... and I know that's rough, but you've got to fucking make sacrifices, and you can't just depend on other people to make it easier for you, because I honestly think if you have it easier, it's going to be harder to make a better product. There is something integral and innate about the creating something through struggle that you just don't feel. I mean, you can still make a great game without struggle, but I honestly don't think it is missing something. There's some I don't know if I don't want to say edge, but there's some sort of spark to it that with struggle, yeah, you can go way off the deep end and be like, woo, but with struggle, there's something there that pushes this to a different level. I don't want to say a greater one, but a different level. And by just saying, well, if you give me all the money I need for a year, I will be set. And it's like, no, none of that. That's why you get a job. Let's get a side job. Move in together. Make concessions. Make it happen. Don't just depend on other people to make it happen for you. And that's my rant. I'm out of here. Actually, no, I'm not out of here. But that is my rant on that. What are your guys' thoughts? Let me know through the YouTube comments if you're catching it from there. Or message me at Mudogaru553 on Twitter. Either just straight up message or like a direct message is fine too. And let me know, because I'm very interested to hear more comments about this, because it's kind of died down a lot. And now that there's been time to kind of think about it a bit more, let's kind of talk about it a bit more. Yeah. So, alright. Gonna take a little bit of a break. I have a cat staring at me, demanding attention. And, yeah, I'll be back after the break. welcome back. That one there, that song was one I had never heard before. So yeah, it was pretty nifty to find that one. It's called "The Lamp of Al Hazred." Yeah, a bit of a bit of a tongue tire for me there. I wanted to let people know with the squeaky chair of mine that this I am recording at a different time than the other stuff. Generally, I record things on a certain day and then I put it all together and then release it later in the week. Well, I was visited sort of on the YouTubes by somebody who put some comments down. So I have some comments. So we have a comment section. Yay! And I want to go over these. So this might be a little bit longer, and I know later on in this recording, because I'm recording this at a different time, that I will say something about not getting comments, and not like, like, why the fuck aren't you commenting, guys? But more of just, oh, well, I hadn't got comments yet, but, well, I did get comments, so I should have, I might have to rethink the way I do these, but in the same hand, it's kind of hard for me to record at other times, so yeah! Alright, well, the comments that I got were from Linku of Courage 1. So, thank you! And I responded to these a little bit, but I do kind of want to go over these a little bit more. He was talking about stretching out a story, and he's like, I'm going to read it verbatim here. He's like, about stretching out a story, I kind of agree in why I don't read a lot of comics, especially superhero ones, although I am more into Japanese comics. And in defense of One Piece and Naruto, feels like a lot of the story there was planned. And I even heard in an interview with the creator of Naruto that he planned the ending from the beginning. Yes, fillers are very annoying, and why I don't watch Naruto and One Piece anime much. With games, actually, we're gonna break this down. And I know I responded to him, but this way you guys can also hear my lovely voice for longer and longer and longer and longer and longer and longer. But he makes the delineation between those types of comics. I personally, I'm not a big comic person, and it's not because they're just not as entertaining to me. But that's just who I am, and that's not to say that I know when and this kind of bugs me is that when I say that I like to read, I know a lot of people's radars are going to be off and think that I'm some sort of condescending asshole because, well, if you don't read, then you're some fucking fool or something. That's not the case at all. If you don't read, one of my best friends, he does not read books. He just doesn't like to read them. That's totally fine. He likes to read different articles and just that's. And even if he didn't like to do that, that's fine. Whatever. I mean, I'm not here to dictate how you enjoy your or how you have fun or what you like to have fun with. If you want to have fun with me, I'll leave my number somewhere and then. But anywho, but I just never. It's just not a form of media that I'm not a visual kind of person in the way of pictures or an oral, like an audio kind of guy. I like to digest information by words and reading them out and going that way. I do better writing things down. They stick with me more if I write it by hand. If I type it out, I can't write my story from the get-go just typing it out. I sit there and will just stare at a blank screen for days on end. I mean, the monkeys that are infinitely working on typewriters that'll eventually, put out a Shakespeare play will do it before I, get 3 pages into something. It's just not how my brain works. And that can, the filler stuff, I can understand really turns off some people, and they just end up skipping it. I remember watching a bit of Naruto up until it got to that first part of Naruto. Then it went, I think 70 episodes or something later. It went into crazy filler bonanza, and I never watched it afterwards. I didn't mind Naruto. I liked a lot of the music. I think that's something with me that not always the case, but a lot of the times is that music is. I totally had to look to make sure I was recording. I thought I wasn't recording for a moment. Music is something that if it's interesting, I am more attached to it and will kind of guide me into being more interested in something. I know that might sound a bit shallow, or maybe I guess simplistic would be a better way to put it, but I don't know. There's something about how music is that touches me in very naughty places that makes me feel good. So, all right, let's read this next part here. With games, though, I don't particularly like it because of the reasons you mentioned. It's even worse with the Kingdom Hearts series. That is a very good example. I completely forgot about Kingdom Hearts. I only played the first one, and I didn't hate it or anything, but I was like, okay. And then I just had no desire to play the other ones. I'm not a big Disney person, and while I like some Final Fantasy games, the marriage of the two, for some, they really, really like it. Like, I like Yoko Shimomoto's music, which is, I know, kind of hypocritical that I said, well, the music, it helps it. But, for some reason, it just didn't, I don't know. It just doesn't jive with me as well. But he continues. The first game came out 10 years ago, and only now the overall plot is going to be resolved in 3. Why I did not start Metal Gear series is pretty much the same reason. I could see that because it's going on for a very long time. Like, the thing with Kingdom Hearts is that you have like a game, and then it seems like there's a bunch of side stuff told to really build up the story, which I get, but in the same hand, it's sometimes, and this is me personally, I like to have gaps in the story. I don't need everything explained to me. I don't want everything explained to me, because sometimes, and this is why, like, a lot of times prequels are really, really, they don't live up to it, is because they try to fill in a gap that generally is left to the audience's brains to kind of just make. That's why they have all these great machinations going in their heads and stuff, and then when there's a prequel that comes out, they're kind of like, oh, that's it. Great. No, not always the case, but cough, cough, Lufia too. But but it's just it doesn't work out. Now with Metal Gear, that's it's a bit different, I want to say, but I totally understand why you would not have decided to take that journey and play it out and stuff. Personally, I especially with the way that this last game turned out, I would have much rather it ended with Peace Walker. It was fine. And this is what you get into. You're starting to fill these gaps. And when you start filling these gaps within, well, Big Boss, he was kind of good, and he was really good, he's sort of good, he went crazy. I mean, you did me wrong, Phantom Pain, you did me wrong. But then he adds in here, edit, superheroes, I got kind of frustrated because to me it feels like it's being rehashed greatly, yet no one seems to think the same. I enjoyed the new Marvel films, but some characters I'm just sick of seeing. For example, Batman. Incoming unpopular opinion. I enjoy Batman, 90s animated series, Batman movie from 89, and some comics as well as games. But I feel like he is rehashed so much. How many movies can you make about him that will not feel the same? Because to me, most of them feel the exact same. Heck, I think the 60s Batman series is the freshest idea to be associated with the character because all of them are so dark and depressing that I am just sick of it. I'm really with you on this one because I think that's why I don't get into comics. There are so many, and then of course people will point out, well, this writer's really good, or and they're coupled or they're paired with this artist or what have you. But a lot of times it would be in a way, it's imagine for to me. Okay, so the way that it comes across in my head is think of Romeo and Juliet. All right, you know the Shakespearean story, Romeo and Juliet. Well, you had the ancient Greek story of it. It's like it's not Pythagoras, Pythagorean theorem. No, it's like Pyrrha and I can never remember their damn names. But there's a Greek story that's about pretty much that's what they kind of figure it's based off of and stuff. I wish I could remember their names. I want to say one starts with a P, like a Fira, Paella. No, but so just take the Romeo and Juliet. That one's an easier platform to jump from. So take Romeo and Juliet. Now in the 90s there was a movie that came out that put Romeo and Juliet in a modern setting with Leonardo DiCaprio, and they I don't know who else was in it. I remember he was in it, and I had to watch this in ninth grade because it was the same stuff, like the dialogue and everything, but they just kind of tweaked the setting of it, and the son's name, I can't speak words today. The gun's name is Sword, is Sword, and it's really hokey. And I know that's not the same, but that's kind of feels like to me you're putting different dressings on it for a character that's been around. That's why I prefer that they would just make new characters instead of let's make a Lady Thor or they had that crazy not the Civil War thing, but the crazy thing where Doctor Doom put all these worlds together, all these universes together, and then Battle World and all that. And out of all the comic book stuff, Doctor Doom seems to be the most interesting one to me, only because of in one of the stories. I mean, this is just how, for lack of a better word, convoluted it is to me, because there's just so much of it, and it's a lot to dissect and to get through to find these different things, or find ones that you may be interested in. But the one that I think of is the Doctor Doom story where he takes over the planet with the purple dude, I think, where he's able to control people's minds. No, not that one. Wow. See, he basically, Doctor Doom gets the Infinity Gauntlets, and he's able to make a wish by going to this one certain spot, and his wish isn't like super duper bajillion infinite, Son Goku power or anything like that. It's basically that he does not feel guilt. That is a really cool, that's a really cool introspective into the character, but in the same hand, that's just one story out of a whole slew of them, and maybe it does mirror some of the other ones, but there's just so much, and unfortunately I just don't have the time for it, which is why I wouldn't say comics are dumb or anything like that. I never. No, there's plenty of people that I know who bring up some really cool instances of comic stories that are really fucking phenomenal. I just don't have the time for it. And then I responded to a few of his things, and then he also I'm sorry, I'm really bad with YouTube handles to real people's names, so I will refer to you as Ninku. Ninku of Courage One. He also responded back because I had said something else to him, and he's like, let's see. Okay, he mentions that the creator of One Piece said that at first, that he first wanted the series to continue 5 years, but he was surprised by how popular it ended up being, so that's why it's still going. As someone who, loves both Naruto and One Piece, I have to admit that I'm getting tired reading some of these long series from time to time. And then he said, by the way, great podcast. Thank you. And this was something that he had brought up about, or that I had brought up in response to that, was that a lot of mangaka or manga artists, they live really squalid conditions. They live in really, really crappy conditions, and they're working to try to break through. And once they do break through, it really feels like a lot of times they try to hold on to that and extend it for as long as they can to get as much money and just breathing room as they can from the thing. And that's, I think, a big problem that I have with things like manga, like One Piece. Look at One Piece. One Piece is what, 600 episodes, 700 episodes, and it took 2 years to go through or close to 2 years to get through a certain story arc that just happened, I think. And it's not to say that it's bad, but it you have this, and it made me think of when he brought that up, this question about it is, are you, what is about the story is impressing you? Is it impressing you? Like, I'm not saying it blows you out of the water or anything, but it moves you emotionally. What about is doing that? Is it due to the story itself, or is it due to being in your life for so long that it has kind of become like sort of like an extension of, not like you're projecting yourself on it, but an extension of like friendship or something like that. I have really, great friendships with people, and some of the friendships that I have with people, we haven't done like some sort of, usually it's mundane or very just, I don't want to say mundane in a negative way, but just it's not like going to the Arctic Circle and harpooning seals, or I don't know why I thought that, or it's just hanging out and chilling and getting to know people. And I kind of wonder if that's almost like a manifestation of a friend. You're getting to know this story, and so it goes on for so long, and it almost feels like it's a part of your life. And that's not to say, and I quote, I'm putting it in here, that's not to say that it's any lesser in the quality department, or it's being quote unquote done the wrong way. I'm not saying that at all. It's just very different ways of enjoying shows or media. Personally, I like finality, and I'm reading off of what I left as a comment because it'd be better than me trying to regurgitate what I said. Let the characters be themselves for the rest of their lives. Hemingway put it fairly, not just fairly well, but I think he put it really succinctly well. Madam, all stories, if continued far enough, end in death, and he is no true storyteller who would keep that from you. I guess I feel with the length of how these stories, or those stories are, I'd expect the characters to die. Not in some brutal fashion or anything like that, but to let other characters or / stories rise up to take their place. Maybe I'm just an oddball, but it certainly is an entertaining aspect of culture / media to chat about. So yeah, it's just very different ways to enjoy it, and that's, it is what it is. So I do want to thank you, Linku of Courage 1, for commenting and pushing this this episode to about an hour and a half. And yeah, if anybody has comments, leave them on the YouTube video for the episode, and I'll get to them. Even if it's old ones, I'll dig them up and be like, hey, well, not dig them up, but I mean, even if it's like an older episode, I'll comment and then do this, and because I do like to talk. Well, not even talk, but like when chatting or like talking about things, clackety chat, I do like to go through and give big answers. And this way, doing it this way, it might save, might save some time for me, as well as my sanity and arthritis. But so yeah, so if you want to do that, comment to there, or send me a direct message on Twitter, or at Muragaru553, MURAGARU553, or just shoot me a message that way. That's it at the moment. I still need to get up a Gmail or something. Busy bumblebee. So I'm gonna play a bumper here, and yeah, we'll get to the quotes, or quote. Yeah, get to the quote. Hey, welcome back. That last song there was Cradle. Totally makes me think of like a I don't know, like a field theme. It's a bit melancholy, but it's a bit of a determination, and I really like it. It's another vocal one, which I'm kind of surprised because I'm not a big fan of vocals. So yeah, this last section here is quotes, and the quote I'm going after today is Mark Twain, and that is or by Mark Twain, and that is, "Never let the truth get in the way of a good story." Now, yeah, okay, this can be good for like telling a story, but when you have things there's a variant that I really like, and it's like, never let information get in the way of a good snark. And this is what I see a lot of, and to be honest, it irritates me. It irritates me a bit when people want to twist things to a point that they can make a snarky fucking comment and then feel really good about themselves, when the context of the comment is completely misconstrued. And so it doesn't matter what the context of the thing was, it only matters what it means to me. And that should mean it means the same thing to you. That's like a weird mind think tribalism thing. And that tribalism in itself is bothersome, because it's like, let us break down into the most common of things and let us group around that. Whether it be physical appearance, whether it be some sort of ideology, a religion, and all this sort of thing. It's never about, accepting people as they are in their entirety. It's more of, you are like me in some sort of facet, therefore we must consolidate and combine our powers. And and you see this with, like, and I use this very loosely, but sports news, okay, whatever. You see this a lot, where it's like, let's make snarky comments about bad teams because ha ha ha, we're hilarious, we're so funny, we're the best. And it's just like, you're not I'm not watching Comedy Central, or listening to some sort of comedian. I'm having to listen to you dipshits, and not you guys, but like just the particular. I'm looking at you as ESPN. You piss me off more than anything. But just making like snarky comments about stuff. It's like, okay, oh yeah, you're real funny. Well, what are you accomplishing by doing that, other than alienating people and having people who don't want to listen because of that sort of thing? I don't want to listen because of that sort of thing. I get tired of it. I don't need to listen to professionals, because you're not being a professional by just being a fucking snarky commentator. I don't need to hear it from them. You hear it enough from other people. Or like me with my channel, I don't hear it at all because nobody cares about me. That's not true. There have been a few comments as of late and stuff, and maybe not in regards to the podcast, which, if totally any sort of comments, leave it in the YouTube channel or contact me at Muragaru553, MURAGARU 553. MURA, yeah. Yeah. So, totally, DM me or just send me a message or whatnot. Totally cool with it, and I'll read it out on the next one. But it's just, I don't. There's a time and place for it, and it seems like nobody knows the demarcation line of that. They're just kind of like, let's be snarky all the time. Let's just say stuff to be funny all the time. And that's it. That's just what it is. And I just don't get it. So this last song here is called I'm just gonna translate it out to like kind of like Sunset is an easy way to translate it. And for people who have listened to my channel or watched my channel for a long time, maybe they'll recognize it. So that's it for this week's Rambling Weekly. Thank you for listening, guys, and have a good day.